1.3.
It's midday. Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to 12 Live here on Class 91.3 FM in Accra and affiliates across the country. If you're listening in the Volta region, this is OFM 92.5. The Gban FM 102.5 is also picking the bulletin live in Tamale. We are live on Radio 192.1 in the Upper West region. We are live on Radio Power 96 in Spain and around the world. You can join us on classfmonline.com. And our top stories this afternoon, Accra High Court dismisses application by former Signals Bureau Director General Kwadwo Edubwahin is seeking to adjourn his trial. Also coming up, 8 aspirants, including former MPP Chairman Paul Afoko, filed nominations to contest the party's chairmanship slot on day 3 of the filing process. Meanwhile, the New Patriotic Party has declared full backing for the minority in Parliament, charges the caucus to use every parliamentary means to demand answers on the controversial 22 billion cedis gold purchase loss. Still to come, NDC formally notifies Parliament of James Agalga's appointment as majority leader after Speaker's procedural objection.
The communication says acting because the President has no authority to communicate the change of the leadership of the House to the Speaker.
A lot more later, persons with disability receive common fund support to boost livelihoods.
We have about 76 beneficiaries covering the areas of income generation, education, health, and organizational support. We are saying that those that we've given the items, they should make sure they put them to use.
Also coming up, residents of Agonafie near Agonankwanta in the western region protest to demand stronger police action following the killing of a 40-year-old gold dealer during an armed robbery incident. In African news, court premises in Zambia shut as the deadline for the filing of a petition against the outcome of the recent presidential election approaches. We have details to these stories and many others coming up shortly. Please stay with us. Glad that you could join us on today's edition of 12 Live here on Class 91.3 FM. My name is Charles Sakrofi here with
Veronica Amade.
We're starting off from the courts because the Accra High Court has dismissed an application by former Signals Bureau Director General Kwadwo Edubwahin is seeking to adjourn his trial pending the Supreme Court's determination of a review application filed by Ofuansi Ayeribi, Member of Parliament Kwadwo Ankrah. The review application concerns the continuation of selected criminal cases during the legal vacation. Counsel for Mr. Edubwahin, Samuel Atachia, had urged the High Court to adjourn the proceedings until September 2, when a 3-member panel of the Supreme Court is expected to hear Mr. Nkrumah's application. He argued that the outcome of the review could have a bearing on the ongoing trial and therefore it would be appropriate for the High Court to await the Supreme Court's decision. However, the High Court dismissed the application, paving the way for the trial to continue.
The Accra High Court has rejected an application by former National Signals Bureau Director General Kwadwo Edubwahin seeking to suspend his trial until the Supreme Court determines a review application filed by MP for Ofuansi Ayeribi Kwadwo Ankrah challenging the continuation of selected criminal cases during the legal vacation. Samuel Atachia, lead counsel for Kwadwo Edubwahin, Angela Ajay-Boateng, and the Advantage Solutions Limited had urged the court to adjourn the proceedings to the 2nd day of September, when a 3-member panel of the Supreme Court is expected to hear the review application. Lawyer Atachia argued that the outcome of the Supreme Court's review could affect the ongoing trial and that it would therefore be prudent for the High Court to await the decision. Deputy Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Dr. Justice Shremsai, opposed the application that the prosecution had only one more day to close its case. He maintained that the Supreme Court had already ruled on the substantive interlocutory application relating to the legal vacation and that the filing of a review application did not by itself suspend proceedings. Justice Francis Achibonga, after hearing arguments from both sides, said he had found no rule requiring the trial to be suspended under the circumstances. He consequently dismissed the defense's application for adjournment.
And that was a report filed by my colleague Mamia Babru from the High Court. It's 12 Live here on Class 91.3 FM. We're turning our attention to some other developments.
8 aspirants in the new Patriotic Party national executive elections are today expected to file nominations on day 3 of the process. Two persons, General Secretary Justin Kudria and National Youth Organizer Hopeful Clement Opoku Jimfi, have filed on Monday to kickstart the process. Caleb Ahinakwa has been following this and has come through with this report.
The new Patriotic Party headquarters has seen heightened activity as 8 aspirants filed their nominations to contest various national executive positions in the party's upcoming elections. The aspirants are seeking positions including National Chairman, First Vice Chairman, National Women's Organizer, National Treasurer, National Organizer, and Nasara Coordinator. Those filing their nominations today are Paul Afoko for National Chairman, Kwabna Bankwa-Yeboah, First Vice Chairman, Hajia Safia Mohammed, National Women's Organizer, Alfred Koju Thompson, National Treasurer, Collins Nwama, National Treasurer, Salah Mustafa going for the National Organizer position, Daniel Ni Kwate Titus Glover also aspiring to be National Organizer, as well as Awal Mohammed, who is aiming to grab the Nasara Coordinator position. The filing comes as the NPP prepares for its internal elections, which will determine the party's next crop of national executives. The process is expected to attract significant interest among party supporters as the NPP seeks to reorganize its structures and position itself ahead of the next general elections. The party's headquarters has consequently recorded increased activity, with supporters and party officials gathering as aspirants formally submit their nominations.
And now a news desk report filed by my colleague Caleb Ahinakwa. Meanwhile, the opposition New Patriotic Party has declared full backing for the minority in parliament over the controversial 22 billion Ghana cedis controversial domestic gold board purchase program laws. This comes following days of accusations and counter-accusations between the minority and CEO of Gold Board, Sami Demfi, over who bears responsibility for the laws. The New Patriotic Party, at a latest press conference over the matter, first called out the Gold Board CEO for allegedly using the seat of government during its accountability series for verbal attack, an act they describe as a gross disrespect to Ghanaians.
But that fact, the 1.7 billion debt, it cannot be swept under the carpet of insult, vilification. It cannot. Whether every city of blame sits with Gold Board or the Bank of Ghana or both institutions acting together, that is precisely the question the minority is demanding answers to. The Ghanaian people deserve those answers in full. It was not a press conference of insults. That is not what we are talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, the laws will not simply sit quietly on the balance sheet of Bank of Ghana annual report. It will be looking for every one of you. It will be looking for all of us. It is our loss. Economists have already warned Ghanaians plainly. When the Bank of Ghana's own equity is driven into the negative by losses of this size, it is a taxpayer, not Gold Board, who is called upon to recapitalize the central bank. Your city, your taxes, Gold Board's own decision created the hole that needed patching, yet their books conveniently shows no loss at all. You were given 133 billion Ghana cedis to go and buy gold. This is so simple.
And now is the National Youth Organizer for the New Patriotic Party, Henry Nanabuachi.
Let's do some party politics now because the National Democratic Congress has formally notified Parliament of the appointment of the Member of Parliament for Busa North, James Agaga, as a new majority leader. It comes after the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagbin, raised procedural concerns over President John Dramani Mahame's earlier announcement of James Agaga as a new majority leader. The Speaker explained that the President does not have the authority to formally communicate charges or changes, in the leadership of a parliamentary caucus to the Speaker. According to him, Parliament standing orders require any change in the leadership of the majority or minority caucus to be formally communicated to the Speaker by the General Secretary of the political party concerned. Take a listen to the Speaker.
The communication says acting because the President has no authority to communicate the change of the leadership of the House to the Speaker. And so it was actually done in error. This matter has come before the House a number of times. As a result, even in our current standing orders, we had to define the two terms, majority leader and minority leader. And clearly, majority leader, by our standing orders, says majority leader means a member of Parliament designated by the majority caucus as their leader in the House. And as you know, the practice is that the party, under the hand of the General Secretary of the party, communicates that decision of the party to the Speaker. That is what has happened so far. And because of earlier disagreement, we had to relook at it, and we all came out with this definition, which is captured in the standing orders. I want to clarify this. So the procedure today may look different. That is why you still see the majority leader is still on his seat.
And Speaker of Parliament Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagbin there, however, in a letter dated Monday, August 24, and signed by the NDC General Secretary Fifi Fiavikwete, the party informed the Speaker that James Agaga's appointment followed consultations between the NDC leadership and the presidency. It further states that the move is intended to provide effective leadership and coordination for the NDC Majority Caucus as it carries out its constitutional and parliamentary responsibilities. The party's General Secretary expressed confidence that Mr. Agaga, with the cooperation of the Speaker and other members of Parliament, would provide the leadership needed to advance the work of Parliament in the interest of the country.
See some other stories. Persons with disabilities have received support under the District Assembly's Common Fund to improve their livelihoods and promote social inclusion. The beneficiaries received assistance in 4 key areas: income-generating activities, education, healthcare, and organizational development. Some beneficiaries received capital items including freezers, fufu pounding machines, sewing machines, polytanks, and laptops, while others given cash to establish or expand their businesses. Chairman of the Municipal Common Fund Management Committee, Alexander Kosi Akpo, urged beneficiaries to use the items.
Education, health, and organizational support. We have supported some people with capital items like freezers, fufu pounder, sewing machine, and a polytank. We are saying that those that we've given the items, they should make sure they put them to use. They should not go and put the freezers, for instance, in their homes and go out begging. The purpose of the money is to economically empower persons with disabilities and make our life easier for us. So as we appreciate the effort of the government, of course, we are still asking for more. We are also grateful to the government for the free tertiary education for persons with disabilities and other social protection interventions. It is our prayer that a time will come when we can have actually capital-intensive projects that will be established for persons with disabilities and disability organizations such as poultry farms. We had a chalk factory that has collapsed. We are praying that those ventures will be reactivated, that we can actually create jobs and then employ our own people. For now, it's at the subsistence level, and we are grateful to the government We pray that, of course, formerly there were other organizations that used to support persons with disabilities, but because of this common fund issue, they are not supported. We are appealing to them that they should still continue to support us because the fund, of course, the government is trying, but it's just 5% of the common fund to the assembly, so it's not so sufficient for our needs. So if they can help us, they should continue to help us.
You heard the chairman of the Municipal Common Fund Management Committee, Alexander Kosi Akpo. Meanwhile, the whole municipal chief executive, Mr. Seven Adom, said the increase in the PWD allocation from 3% to 5% formed part of government's efforts to improve the livelihoods of PWDs and promote social inclusion. He urged beneficiaries to use their items productively and cautioned them against selling them.
Fact, I joined this service for about 2 decades now. I know where this association was. I know where he has left this association to, and he has done well. Leading people is not easy, and where he left, I promise that I also push it up. And when we are leaving, people will see that where he ended, we have raised it up. And my key areas that I will do, I have to unite the members. When there is a unity, whatever we plan, we can achieve it. And as he rightly said, some people are not contributing, and that we rely on our dues. So we need to pay. So I will tackle those who are not contributing, hook them on a controller payroll so that the inflow can come. I also, in my manifesto, I outline certain things that I will have to do for the association, which I will spearhead them. I want us to get the branded AEA bus for the association, and that will give us revenue. So we will not solely rely on the dues. So that will be the support for the association. So the members can even get, we want to institute a soft loan, like a low interest rate. Members, when they are hard, they can get something small. I pay small interest on it. So, and we want to introduce the pension scheme too, and that one too. By grace of God, I know those things will materialize when we get the bus running, and those monies can vet it. And if you look at the rate at which we will go on retirement, it's not that rampant. So, not that money will go there too much. Maybe in a year, you see that about 2 or 3 people retired. We can be catered for. So, if we get the bus as the backbone or the source of resources of finance, it will help us to build our association financially strong.
And that was the whole municipal chief executive, Mr. Stephen Adom.
You are reminded that you're listening to 12 Live here on Class 91.3 FM. Let's turn attention to some other developments coming in from the Western region, because residents of Agunafie near Aguna Ankrah, of course in the Western region, are demanding a stronger police action following the killing of a 40-year-old gold dealer during an armed robbery incident. A resident who spoke to Class News said community members have embarked on demonstrations to demand the arrest of all persons involved in the killing of Seth Kobina, who was shot dead at his gold dealership on Thursday, August 20, 2026. The resident said the community was particularly unhappy with the police response following the incident, claiming officers arrived after the attack had already occurred. He said residents were planning to demonstrate at the police station to press the police to intensify investigations and improve security in the area. My colleague Caleb Ahinakwa was at Aguna Ankrah and has come through with this report.
Now, community members, I'm told, embarked on demonstrations to demand the arrest of all persons involved in the killing of Seth Kobina, who was shot dead at his gold dealership on Thursday, August 20. A resident who spoke to Class News said the community was particularly unhappy with the police response following the incident, claiming officers arrived after the attack had already occurred.
Around like 8:30, 8:40 p.m. Wow. On Thursday also, yeah. On Thursday, okay, so I came here on Thursday. So when I go, I reach around like 7:30, 7:20. So around like 8:30, 8:40, that incident happened.
And where's the gold? It says located where? Aguna Ankrah, where I came from, right?
Yeah, that's
okay. So have they arrested anybody?
They have arrested like 5 or 6 people as a suspect. So they are now doing more investigation about it. So they're looking up to police and people in Ghana.
And the guy they killed, is he rich? Who is he? Like, he has money, eh?
He just started up a business and he's now running himself a little bit.
So the gold they took from him, do we know how much it's worth? You don't know, eh? So how are the town people reacting? Like,
They are all just doing demonstration that the police have to wake up to arrest the people that are involved.
Charlie.
They are even doing a lot of demonstration. Even yesterday, the police came to around shooting guns and things, and the boys have to go to police station this morning for demonstration that they don't have to come and do shooting at that place, because when the issue happened, you police didn't come there. Later, then secondly police come. So how can you are going to police later? You are coming there to do So the information this month they go for demonstration.
But do you know any of them, the people who was arrested?
Currently, the information, I know one guy that they say is involved, and they have arrested him. And the boys wanted to make a mom to move from Agonade. Because the boys, your child have killed somebody, so we want you to leave Agonade. Because we have supported the child to come on this way. So right now, they have arrested the child as a suspect. Then you have to move from Agonade.
Now, police have so far arrested 5 suspects in connection with the killing, although one of them has reportedly died while in custody. Now, according to police, armed men attacked Mr. Covenant's gold dealership at about 8 p.m. and shot him in the chest. He was rushed to the Oye Walton Ankrah hospital but was pronounced dead on arrival. Preliminary investigations, including a review of CCTV footage from the scene, led police to identify 29-year-old Emmanuel Aponsa, alias Van Dam, as the alleged leader of the group. He was arrested at a guest house in Oye Walton Ankrah on Friday, August 21. Police said a search conducted on him led to the recovery of a locally manufactured pistol and 2 live BB cartridges. The remaining suspects are being investigated as police work to establish their respective roles in the incident. The resident said the killing had left residents deeply concerned about security in the community. He claimed some residents had also confronted the suspect's family and called for his mother to leave the area because of allegations that she had supported her son. The victim, Seth Kobna, was described as a young businessman who had only recently started operating the gold dealership. Reporting from Oye Walton Ankrah in the Western Region, Caleb Ahinakwa.
And of course, from the studios here of Class 91.3 here at Third Walk Street, North Laboni, my name is Charles Akrofi, and I'm here with Veronica Amade, who is bringing us the details with regards to the next story. Vero?
Let's move to health, because the Ministry of Health has extended the deadline for nurses and allied health professionals who recently applied for postings to various districts. In a statement, the ministry said the deadline for affected professionals to report to their respective places of work has been extended to August 31, 2026. The ministry also clarified that applicants who have already gone through interviews and screening and have been posted to their assigned facilities should continue with the necessary processes for mechanization, with some already receiving their salaries. The statement further outlined the recruitment process, including financial clearance applications, interviews, posting to assigned facilities, documentation, and salary validation. The ministry says the processes are necessary to ensure that the right people are paid, not to prevent payment for work not done or the creation of ghost names.
Now, the government is moving to tackle the shortage of emergency hospital beds as President John Mahama acknowledges growing pressure on major health facilities and announced its plans to repurpose the Burma Camp Emergency Center for critical cases. President Mahama says the shortage of beds has become a concern, particularly when patients arrive at hospitals with emergencies and are unable to secure space for treatment. He made the remarks during a visit to the La General Hospital reconstruction project, where he said the government is working with the health ministry to address the challenge. The president says government has also terminated the contract for the police hospital and will re-award it to ensure the project is completed quickly and creates additional bed space.
We discussed with the minister to see how we can sort out the issue of emergency hospital bed when people have an accident or they have a medical incident, most of the time at night. Finding a place for them to be treated has been difficult. And so there's the emergency center which was built in Burma Camp during the COVID period. We're going to repurpose it so that it has beds for handling only emergencies. And so if there's an emergency and a person is not accepted at any of these hospitals, the emergency center in Burma Camp will be there. The emergency nurses and doctors will be there to stabilize the patient. Once the patient is stabilized, then we can move them to a regular hospital. And so the ministry is taking action to prevent needless deaths due to the no bed syndrome.
That was President John Dramani Mahama. Meanwhile, the reconstruction of the La General Hospital is expected to be completed and ready for commissioning by November 2027. The facility is expected to provide an additional 160 beds when completed, helping to ease pressure on major hospitals, including Kolebu and Ridge. President Mahama says the growing population of Accra requires increased investment in healthcare infrastructure to ensure that patients have access to quality healthcare when they need it.
Especially the contractor and the staff for a good job. The hospital is progressing quite well, and we want to make sure that it doesn't stall and that it continues and is delivered on due date. The contractor assures us that by November 2027 we should be able to commission this hospital. Like the minister said, this hospital is important because since it was demolished and was no longer serving patients, all the patients who used to come here now go to the Ridge Hospital, or they go to Lekma or to Kolebu, and so it is important that we get this hospital back in a better shape to provide an additional 160 beds. Currently, people complain that when they have emergencies, they are not able to get sufficient beds. So this hospital add 160 more beds. In the meantime, we have terminated the contract on the police hospital. We're going to re-award it so that we can finish it quickly and then create more bed space. Accra is a fast-growing city, and so the population demands quality health care, and so we'll do everything possible to make sure that we complete this project so that we can afford a good quality health care for our people.
President Mahama there. Now, on his part, the Minister for Health, Kwabena Minta Kando, revealed that government paid an amount of 60 million Ghana cedis late 2025 towards the hospital's reconstruction project.
La General Hospital was brought down due to some structural integrity issues in 2020, and sword was cut for the redevelopment of same in 2020. But the original project was financed externally by UKEF, and the disbursement was through Stand Chartered. But due to some delays on the part of government and the debt restructuring, that financing arrangement couldn't go through. So in 2024, they had to repackage, and the amount involved is about 50 million euros. So they commenced work here around 2024. Again, after progress were made, and there were delay in payment of IPCs, so they again had to suspend. And you directed that we pay them, and so we paid them late 2025. We paid them about 60 million Ghana cedis, and they had to remobilize to site early this year, and they have since been on site. And this facility is serving more than 150,000 people. The surrounding areas large. And when this is completed, Mr. President, it's going to ease the pressure on Kolebu and then the Ridge Hospital. So it's a very strategic facility that needs to be expedited. I thank you for the opportunity. You are welcome to the site.
You heard Kwabena Minta Kando. He's the health minister. And let's do some stories before we begin to wrap up this afternoon's bulletin.
Let's move to Asen South, where Member of Parliament and co-sponsor of the Human Sexual Rights and Family Value Bills, John Intim Fojo, is taxing the Attorney General to ensure the legislation is fully implemented within 12 months of its passage. His comments follow concerns from members of Parliament's Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee that some ministers fail to operationalize laws after they are passed by Parliament. Speaking during the second day of stakeholder engagement on the bill, Intim Fojo said the legislation has attracted significant public interest and must not suffer delays in implementation.
Is a bill which has received more public interest than any other bill I'm aware of in the last 10 years. There's a bill that has become a topical campaign promise. In fact, from Osajefo, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, our first president, till now, this is the only bill that we have had presidential candidates expressly and specifically making campaign promises tied to the passage, the assenting, and implementation of SAFE. And therefore, it is not a bill that must be treated without a sunset clause, and which sunset clause should be deferred to a period later than 1 year. So it is expectation that with a close collaboration between.
And that was the Member of Parliament for Asin South.
Let's do some news beyond our borders before we take leave of you this afternoon. And court premises in the Zambian capital, Lusaka, and elsewhere have been shut as the deadline for filing a petition against the outcome of the recent presidential election approaches. An unusual police presence has been reported at some courts, which have been taped off to prevent access. We'll bring you some more details in subsequent bulletins. But for now, though, that's how we wrap up today's edition of 12 Live here on Class 91.3 FM. For more news, you want to check out classfmonline.com. My name is Charles Akrufi, and of course, I did this with
Veronica Amade.
Up next is the afternoon business review with Oye Ankrah, Nana Jaman Prempe, and the team. And always remember at 5 o'clock, you'll join Kwame Ochi Jr. and also the team to bring you the latest stories together with some